are the keeper of life, the steward of generations, the emotional center of civilization, the sacred vessel in which all human life enters the world.
Hi, and welcome to, or back to, my channel where I offer my thoughts and opinions about whatever catches my attention. Why do I want to laugh? Anyway, I'm Kit, and today we're looking at a video from, well, per her website. She has a master's in exercise science and a background in clinical psychology, and per her channel bio, she explores human behavior, gender dynamics, and modern society through long-form analysis, pattern recognition, and first principles thinking. So her name is Kait Willett, and the video is What's Really Behind the Lack of Good Men, with a thumbnail, Feminism Fucked Relationships, which means it will definitely be a thoughtful video. We open with the question, would the man that you want the woman you've become? Which is a great question. Would you date you? Do you embody the characteristics you want in a partner? And then she informs us that 63% of men under 30 are single and
61% of men ages 18 to 29 say they want to be in a committed relationship, compared to only 50% of women. Yet everywhere we turn, there's a woman who's asking, why does it feel like there are no good men left?
I believe we're supposed to extrapolate from this that women say they are interested in a relationship, but they're asking where the good men are, indicating they actually are interested. But, well, for one, those women asking could be one of the women wanting a relationship. And for two, people can post whatever they want on socials. I wouldn't read too much into it. And also,
maybe it's not that they're gone. Maybe they're just done with the rules of a rigged game.
Whenever women asking where are the good men comes up, no one ever wonders what is meant by a good man. Also, until you find someone you like, dating sucks for everyone. But anyway.
This video is for the women who want a good man, who may not even be aware of the pitfalls of their own perceptions, beliefs, and behaviors that push good men away instead of pulling them in. And this video is for the men who are overburdened with the dialogue that their masculinity is somehow toxic, that we don't need them, when in fact, we do. This is for those of you who believe in commitment, love, and the depth of what is real over what just feels good right now. And to be transparent, this won't be an easy video, and I will be the first to admit that I don't have this all figured out. However, I do believe that there are fundamental flaws that have eroded the very fabric of relationships. And by the time you watch this video all the way to the end, you'll understand exactly how we got here and how the things that you believe are in your best interest may in fact be harming you.
Full disclosure, I am dating someone and they seem to like me pretty well despite my feminist ways. But, you know, I like to learn. Though at that, Kait goes into the history of feminism and
it started as a fight for rights, and it morphed into a war on roles. And now, it's a religion without redemption. This book is one that I recommend everybody reads. It reveals the esoteric and spiritual roots of feminism as rebellion. And not just against men, but against nature and order itself.
The book she recommends is Rachel Wilson's Occult Feminism. I'll leave a link to Rachel Oates' review of it below, and I find it interesting that Kait assumes women are naturally to be subjugated by men, but that is what this video is about, promoting hierarchy, aka order, and since feminism seeks to disrupt that, well, that makes feminism a religion without redemption, which makes me wonder if Kait has ever been to a church. Anyway, Kait requests that we keep an open mind and tells us that we will be going through each wave and show how feminism has shifted, quote, drastically, potentially, radically.
There are many narratives and beliefs held that feminism is either the best thing that has ever happened or the absolute worst. But unlike other waves that came, the first wave of feminism was focused on maintaining the order and nurture between men and women.
Kait apparently doesn't know that that was also considered rebellious in its day, but TLDR, the first wave was okay.
Now, I want to be clear that my positions are not to shove religion down your throat, nor are they to put me on some moral high ground. But it's also important to at least acknowledge that when we removed religion, we had to replace it with something. The erosion of Christianity didn't just impact our churches. It impacted cultural values that held our society together. And furthermore, opened the door in which this revolution could just walk right through. First wave feminists, for the most part, did not seek to erase the differences between men and women. They weren't trying to become men or mock men. Instead, they emphasized complementary roles.
I really didn't expect complementarianism from her, but Okay, that is where she's coming from. She believes men and women have separate but equal roles, and of course, there is a hierarchy in church. God, man, woman, children. Not all churches operate that way, of course, but if someone is into complementarianism and talks about the importance of order, that's a strong indicator that their church does. As feminism seeks to liberate everyone from hierarchical structures, I'm not surprised Kait doesn't like it. Anyway, she was on to say that in the early 20th century, feminism was co-opted by occult forces. I'm guessing this is where Rachel's book comes in. We move to the second wave now, and Kait informs us that rather than seeking to refine society, these feminists sought to reimagine it. She wants to ask, what did their version of freedom actually cost us? And I would like to note two things. One, most women, even back then, did work, and two, things they said and did back then are going to seem weird and maybe even extreme to us because we weren't there. We don't know what it was like. I was born in the 80s, not the 30s, so though I know a little of what it's like to grow up with the expectation that you marry and have kids, my experience was very different from that of my grandmother's and even my mother's. So though you, and I, may look askance at something someone said in 1970, we have to remember in what time frame it was said and what they were responding to. Anyway, Betty Friedan apparently promoted careerism, but Gloria Steinem
took it even further. She told women that true power came from detachment, emotional, sexual, and spiritual. Marriage, optional. Children, inconvenient. Abortion, empowerment. And men, oppressors. She famously said that a woman needs a man like a fish needs a bicycle.
I'm going to need a citation for all of that because I'm not finding anything. Also, the fish quote is from Irina Dunn and has a long history. And yes, Gloria Steinem did work for the CIA. And yes, people talk about it, usually to try and dismiss feminism, even though feminism had a long history before her and a long future after her. And no, the CIA did not convince women to leave the home. That does not make any sense. If you want people to be dependent, you don't encourage them to go out and make their own money, build their own lives. And no, for the bad faith folks typing on their keyboards, that is not me saying married women are dependent on their husbands and have no life. But with an income and a reason to be out of the house, you do build a support system outside of one person. The CIA does not benefit from that. Anyway, Kait moves on to Shulamith Firestone, and she seems quite shocked that a person with radical beliefs has radical beliefs.
If you were told that pain meant oppression, that childbirth was chains, that nurturing or being nurturing is so outdated, you are absorbing Firestone's gospel.
I haven't been told any of those things, though I do keep being told that women just are nurturing, it's in our nature, and it's simultaneously good for women, but also bad because then we're too compassionate and people prey on that. There is no winning.
I hope by now you can start to see how second wave feminism fused cultural Marxism with spiritual rebellion.
What? Where on earth did cultural Marxism come from? For those who don't know, cultural Marxism is a far-right anti-Semitic conspiracy theory. Am I surprised to find it here? Genuinely, yes. But it does seem we always end up here, somehow. Anyway, per Kait, the second wave glamorized the self and diminished responsibility and...
Feminist text praised witchcraft, sexual liberation as empowerment, abortion as a right instead of a moral tragedy, pornography, hookup culture, and promiscuity as markers of freedom.
I'm starting to think this video is just an excuse to preach at us.
Not even disclosing that the things that women did not want to be valued for or degraded down into was indeed the value that now women had to lead with.
Getting some classically Abby vibes. Women don't want to have casual sex, but they're being forced into it by women who do because otherwise they won't be able to get a man. But you don't have to do anything she just listed. It's not empowering, it's not liberating if you're making yourself do something that doesn't sit well with you. That it's you doing it and not someone else doesn't make it better. But that is the catch, isn't it? Church folk don't want someone making decisions on their own behalf. They want them to follow church rules, church guidance. And then something else comes along, could be feminism, could be witchcraft, could be anything, that tells them, no, you are in charge of your own life, there is no reason behind these rules, then, well, that threatens the order. And therefore, that thing whispering into your ear that there is no hell to fear if you step out of line has to be demonized. Am I surprised to find us here? Not really. But let's continue.
What began as a movement for equality had become a full-blown ideological inversion. This was and is a deliberate psychological operation to destroy modesty, shame, and sexual restraint, especially in young women.
Oh no, how horrible. Anyway, Kait also credits feminism with government welfare programs. Those came around decades before the second wave. State-run schools also came around well before the second wave. and, quote, legal and financial systems that incentivize single motherhood and position interdependence on the covenant of marriage as a mistake. All this, by the way, is supposed to replace a husband. And Kait is fooling herself if she thinks American welfare can take the place of a second income. But there is a theme with anti-feminists. They tend to be conservative, and conservatives tend to believe the pathetic social safety net in the US is far more generous than it actually is. Heaven forbid we actually try to improve people's lives.
And what so many women do not see is that this aligns with globalist interests, not individual fulfillment.
I have a feeling she's thinking of something else when she says globalist, but yes, feminism is a global movement. It's about the liberation of everyone, not just allowing individual women certain freedoms. That doesn't mean individuals can't find fulfillment, it's just not what feminism is about. You will find feminism and feminists in every country. From here we go to third wave feminism, which Kait claims didn't just distort womanhood, it dismantled it. I would love for her to explain what that means, but instead,
no longer is it united around the female experience. It divided itself into identities, grievances, and contradictions. Intersectionality began as a valid critique, but it evolved into this hierarchy of oppression, where being a woman was no longer enough. Instead of seeking unity amongst women, feminism began fracturing into subcategories. You needed to be queer, a person of color, disabled, or non-binary in order to claim moral authority.
Seriously, what does that even mean? Does she think when feminists gather, they check off intersectionality boxes and bow down to whoever has the most check marks? What would that do? What would the purpose be? Intersectionality isn't an oppression contest. It's about understanding that different people have different experiences and that things that don't affect us can affect other people. And just because they don't affect us personally, that doesn't mean they don't affect other people. Also, what does any of this have to do with dating?
And biology was soon set out to be erased. Judith Butler's queer theory said that gender is performative, not reality. Soon, being a woman was a feeling, something that anybody could claim.
Judith Butler is right, though. Gender is a performance. Not all of it has to be, but let's recall Your Wingman's How to Be Beautiful manifesto. That whole thing was about performance. If it's natural, you don't have to be told to do it. But something that especially stood out to me was a line about, if you really want to feel sensual in the presence of a worthy man, cock your head slightly, lightly stroke your upper décolletage, and lick or bite your lower lip while maintaining eye contact with your man. That is performance. If it's something you spontaneously do in the moment, okay. But if it's something you do because you've been told that's what men will find sexy, that is a performance. You're being given stage direction.
Women's spaces, sports, and even safety were sacrificed at the altar of inclusion.
Trans women are not a threat to cis women. And none of these people who currently talk about it cared about women's sports until it became something they could harass trans women about.
So feminism became competitive and tribal, with victimhood becoming the new form of moral authority. The more oppressed categories a person could claim, the more power they held in the movement itself.
Citation needed.
And this newfound focal point within the movement moved feminism away from a universal definition of womanhood, and instead created a fractured identity matrix, where being a biological female was no longer the uniting thread. It also encouraged resentment, envy, and perpetual grievance, not cooperation, not uplifting. And as a consequence, feminism began to devour its own.
If she thinks feminism is in such shambles that it's eating its own, why did she make this video? Or is this another case of the enemy is both strong and weak? Feminism is everywhere, it's destroying our society, but also it doesn't know what it's doing and is devouring itself. Moving along, Kait went just some more about stuff she made up, and I think we're just about done.
They told you that motherhood would make you small, that your body was a burden, that your husband was your captor, that your instincts were oppression or internalized misogyny. But what if that is not true at all?
Women are not stupid. They're able to read theory, interact with other people's perspectives, and consider other ideas and still pursue what makes sense to them, what they want for their lives. And it is important that those other ideas and perspectives are out there so they can be taken into consideration. Maybe they'll apply, maybe they won't, but it's still good information to have. Even Mrs. Midwest was, and still is years later, singing the praises of a really not great book, to be honest, because it told her she's allowed to have interests and hobbies of her own beyond being a wife and mother.
What if your longing for partnership, for family, for meaning is not a weakness, but wisdom? You are not just a body, and you are not just a worker, and you are not just what other people say your potential is.
Yes, it is natural and valid to want companionship, a family. Would it shock her to know there are feminists who are married, feminists who have kids, doing things the way you want to do them when you are ready for them, instead of on the timeline society sets, the way society says you must do it? That is part, not all, but part of liberation.
You are the keeper of life, the steward of generations, the emotional center of civilization, the sacred vessel in which all human life enters the world. That's not oppression. That's power.
Why do these folks always have to make things weird? Honestly, it is amazing how often folks try to make videos against feminism, but they just can't resist dehumanizing women. Women are not vessels for your bizarre breeding fetish. Women are people, not walking wombs. And no, slapping a sacred on there doesn't make it better.
A woman's strength isn't found in rejecting her nature. It's in returning to it. Let's begin there.
A woman's nature is for her to discover. It's not for others to tell her what it is. Anyway, somehow that was creepier than I thought it was going to be. Apparently, people, including other women, just can't help themselves. I appreciate it though. Lets me know what they really think. Women don't need liberation. We're just here to birth the next generation. And it's such a sacred task. How can we possibly want anything else? And that's it for this video. My socials and Patreon are linked below along with sources and resources. I would like to thank everyone for watching, and of course, I would like to give special thanks to my patrons. Have a wonderful day, don't forget to worship the moon, and I'll see you in the next one.